Let's talk about 7 common myths that you might be hearing in your jiu-jitsu journey. Starting off with number 1, don't be a spazzy white belt. Now hear me out, all right? There's a difference between being spazzy and injuring people, okay? So when I'm talking about being spazzy, I mean you should not worry about if you're going too crazy or that you are trying too hard on certain things when you're first starting out. I think that you need to go as hard as you feel like you should reasonably without hurting people. And the reasons is your other training partners should know what to do and know what it feels like and how to control an untrained opponent like you, right? Because a lot of us talk about how jiu-jitsu is the greatest sport for self-defense or greatest martial art for self-defense. But then when it comes to a brand new white belt going a little too hard on us, then we start to say, oh man, you're being spazzy. We start making up excuses when really we should know how to control that spazzy person, right? Your opponents and your training partners should know what to do in those situations. If you're constantly thinking about being a spaz, then you're more likely not to try anything or try to do anything new because you're so worried about hurting people or you're so worried about being a spaz and having that reputation. I've talked about this at the beginning of my journey is I didn't realize I was going too hard on people is what they told me. And maybe I might have been called a spazzy white belt sometimes, but I was just trying my hardest to learn the martial art and not to get my butt kicked all the time. And that should be taken into consideration. You know, you also should know what it feels like to try your hardest at fighting someone and then realizing you're just getting controlled and getting your butt kicked the entire time. It's a big eye opener for a lot of people. So when people say don't be a spazzy white belt, yes and no. Don't be a spaz in the sense of you're hurting people, but be spazzy as in you're brand new. You're not going to be able to control how your body works and moves in these jiu-jitsu situations. And don't feel bad about it. You're going to get your butt kicked. You're going to get dominated. And that's all part of the process, okay? Number 2 is don't use strength when you're rolling or doing techniques. Completely not true, right? I had a buddy of mine tell me one time, don't feel bad about using your strength because I don't feel bad about using my flexibility. Strength is a physical attribute just as much as flexibility and speed are, right? So don't feel bad if you are a stronger person and you use your strength during technique and you use it during rounds because it's a physical attribute. It's a skill that you've built up over time or naturally you have it, right? To where, or you don't have it to where you can use it during the rolls, right? Now, keep that in mind that I'm not saying you should use your strength all the time because there is a time and place for everything in jiu-jitsu, and you should know when and when not to use that strength in your rounds in order to get a submission or get out of something. The time that you shouldn't be using your strength or your other physical attributes is when it's going to be building bad habits, when you are used to being able to use your strength in escaping a submission instead of actually using the technique to escape the submission, or instead of passing the guard, you just use your size to dominate the person. You should think about your strength as an attribute, as a supplement, I guess you could say. You add it into your technique, right? So you should definitely be using your strength. It is something that you have, then you should be doing it. Strength can help you control your opponent. It can help break their will, right? There's a thing that my professor calls cooking your opponent, let them cook, right? And the stronger you are, the more you can control that person and then letting them cook, right? And that side control pressure and that neon belly or something like that. So don't be afraid to use your strength. This next one is honestly something that I didn't think about too much until someone in the L Bros community, a black belt, mentioned it. And if you guys want to join the L Bros community, the link's going to be down below. And we have a lot of great chats in there. Community is a huge thing for me for this podcast, and the L Bros community page is great. A lot of knowledge in there. Link down below if you want to join. But I heard this in the group, the Facebook group, and it really opened up my eyes. And it's leave your ego at the door is a myth. And and hear me out on why. Everyone has an ego, and you should bring it to your class and to your journey when you first start out. And here's why. Because you need it to be crushed. You need your ego to be crushed. You need that ego in that room. You need to feel like you're better than you actually are. You need to feel like you kind of know what you're going to do. And you need to feel like, oh man, I've been watching the UFC since 95. I know what these guys are going to do. or I'm a strong, young, athletic person. You should have that ego, right? And then you should let it get crushed, right? Because there's a difference between ego and confidence. If you're so afraid of having an ego, then you're more likely to like lose confidence. And what I mean by that is, let's say you walk into class and you're feeling good, you're feeling great, you know it's going to be a good class, but you're like, oh man, I need to leave my ego at the door. I shouldn't feel this good going into class. I shouldn't think about how I'm going to dominate everyone and how I'm going to do so great today, right? That's if you're feeling confident when you're walking into class, that's different than an ego. An ego is, I'm unstoppable. No one can beat me. I'm going to freaking crush all these people, right? But you have no skill or you have no experience to back it up, right? If you have the confidence and the skill to back it up because you've been training, that's different than an untrained person coming into class and then having the confidence that they're going to do something. To me, that's more of an ego, if that makes sense. So leave your ego at the door, but don't leave it at the door, because you need to realize that you're not as big and as bad as you think, and you should get crushed, and you should realize that, oh man, it doesn't take much for me to get my butt kicked. Number 4 on this list is something that I've been thinking about a lot, and that's just keep showing up and you will improve. So not true, okay? If you just keep showing up, it does not mean you're going to get better, okay? You need to come into each class, train with a purpose, train with intent, have a clear goal of what you want to do each class, and train with intention, right? That's how you're going to get better. Training with a goal and purpose is undoubtedly one of the most important things you need to do, especially at the beginning of your journey. Kind of to tie it back into that school aspect, imagine that you're going to college, right? And you go to your counselor before you ever start your college degree plan, and you're like, okay, so what classes do I need to take in order to get my bachelor's degree? And the counselor's like, just keep showing up. We got it handled. And you're like, well, that doesn't work. I need to know what I need to take and be prepared for it. Right? Like, no. Just keep showing up. You'll get your college degree if you just keep showing up. And you're like, I don't think that's how it works. I think I kind of need to know what's going on, right? Just think of that. If just keep showing up works for you and you enjoy that answer, then you can build that mindset. But I think it's a myth. Just keep showing up it is not true, right? That's not how you get better. And one way to kind of like gauge how good you are doing in your journey is through stripes. Stripes can help with this because they kind of like give you a sense of where you are in your current belt, whether it's white, blue, whatever. And it can give you like a sense of accomplishment, like, oh man, I'm doing the right things. I'm training with purpose. I'm training with intent, and professors noticing that I'm doing all these things and I'm getting better. And I feel like I'm getting better, right? So if your academy doesn't do stripes, let me know down in the comments below. How do you guys feel about stripes? I think stripes are super important. I can understand that some academies don't do it, but I think they're invaluable, right? But for the 5th myth that you're going to hear in jiu-jitsu is for everyone. It's so not true. But you know what is for everyone? Elbows Tight merch at elbowstight.com. If you guys want a sweet dad hat like this, be sure to go check out there. We also got hats, sandals, all kinds of stuff, stickers, elbowstight.com. That stuff is for everyone. Anyone listening to this, that merch is for you. Unlike jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is not for everyone. Helio Gracie once said, jiu-jitsu is for everyone, but not everyone is for jiu-jitsu. And in my eyes, he's basically saying jiu-jitsu isn't for everyone, right? And the reason I say that is because jiu-jitsu isn't for everyone, because not everyone has the same goals that align with what jiu-jitsu is when it comes to a martial art. Some people don't want the impact on their body, right? Some people don't want to be rolling around on the mats with other guys. They want to do more of a striking or something like that. So doesn't that mean that jiu-jitsu isn't for everyone, even if everyone is for jiu-jitsu, if that makes sense, right? Some people just have goals that don't align with jiu-jitsu. So that means jiu-jitsu is just not for them, right? People have different goals in line with like fitness, striking, self-defense. They want to work with weapons or whatever it is. All these things come into play when people choose martial arts. And to say that jiu-jitsu is for everyone, but not everyone is for jiu-jitsu, it really comes off as elitist to me. And I think it's kind of like D-baggery in my humble opinion, if people were to say that. So let's not be elitist in our martial arts. We should be humble and be okay with people not wanting to train jiu-jitsu if it's not for them, because otherwise we start looking like all these other Aikido and stuff like that. The guys that are like, I'm untouchable because I'll use my chi. That was more of like a Spider-Man thing. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. If you guys are watching this at home, I'm sorry. But the next one, and it's honestly one that I kind of like struggle with because I didn't ever plan on doing it. And number 6 myth is competing proves that you're a legit X belt, right? It shows that you're a legit blue belt. It shows that you're a legit purple belt. And I don't think this is true at all, right? Because competition is great, but it's not the only way to track your progress or to prove your skill. You know, some people go to competition and they get super nervous. They can't perform in front of the bright lights or something like that, but they are like a super good blue belt, or they are like a super good purple belt. And just because they can't perform on the competition floor doesn't mean that they're not legit, right? People can be crushing in the academy and then get on the mats with other people and just not be able to perform, just like taking a test, right? We'll go back to the school thing. You could understand your math completely, get 100% on every assignment, but the pressure of taking a test gets to you and then you bomb test. It does not saying that you don't understand the math. It's just that you're not good in pressure situations like that when you're put on the spot. And that could be the same thing with competition for jiu-jitsu athletes, right? Some things that I like to do is I really like to drop in at other academies and check out other places to go hang out and roll roll with the higher belts and, feel what it feels like in other people that are the same rank as me, to see how they feel during a roll, right? Because if I feel like they are going super hard on me, or I'm just absolutely getting destroyed because of the round, then I kind of know that maybe this isn't for me. But if I'm in another academy and I'm given same rank, my peers and higher, a run for the money, then I know I'm legit at my belt, right? And the one analogy that I always use for this is not every Olympic coach that was an Olympian, right? So not every coach that has an Olympic athlete was an Olympic athlete themselves, right? John Danaher is a prime example of this. John Danaher doesn't really have a competitive background because of injuries and stuff like that, but he is regarded as one of the best coaches and one of these best black belts in the world, right? So don't think that competition is the only way that you can prove that you are a legit belt, okay? And finally, number 7 on this list is technique beats strength. Not true, right? Kind of goes back to don't use strength. If technique is the same, if the person skill level is the same belt and everything like that, same person, one person is stronger than the other, the person that's stronger is most likely going to be the person that wins the round, right? Strength is a big aspect of everyone's journey. You should definitely work on your strength and conditioning. And to think that, oh man, this person is a lower belt than me, and I think that they are going to be an easy roll because I'm a rank above them. I'll just use technique, but you can't overcome their size. It's technique's not going to beat strength in that situation. Sometimes it does, right? Sometimes it does. We've all seen it. We've all seen the Lachlan Giles winning, getting second or third place in absolutes, all these small guys winning, against big guys. We all saw Mighty Mouse, get second place in the absolute division as a brown belt. Going in his first match, he submitted that big, like 200 something pound guy. And, Mighty Mouse is obviously like 155 pounds, 145 pounds, something like that. So technique does beat strength if the skill level is the same, or if there's a skill level difference. But if they are the same, strength is going to be a great advantage to you guys. So don't listen to people when they say technique always beats strength. It's not true. All right. So let me know what other myths you guys have heard in your jiu-jitsu journey. Comment them down below. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you later. Peace.